Good morning, good evening, whatever time it is. It's Mr. Rodriguez, and we are here to go over some of the lessons that we have learned in math. Now, you know that in iReady, we kind of do it on the smart board, which is like a big Promethean board that we have. And we've been using the iReady book in the classroom, but you also have been using other things that will help you with the unit test that we're having, unit number 2. Okay, unit number 1 was very quick, very easy. Um, and the reason why it was easy and it was not announced was because I think everybody was ready for it, and we did it, and everybody came out very well with their grade. With that being said, unit 2 was the big challenge because when you were in pre-K, for those who were in pre-K, numbers 1 through 10 was what most of your pre-K teachers were teaching you at the time when it came to numbers. And I saw that a lot of you mastered from 1 through 5. But as soon as we hit 6 and we started doing pairs, everybody took like a halt and just couldn't get through. Same thing happened with 9, with 10. It was a little easier, and I don't know why, but it was. And so 6, 7, and 8, and 9 were the focus of our unit, and that's why we've been taking such a long time. So I sent you home some of these worksheets that I created, and I mean I created it because it comes from a book from when I started teaching back in 1995, 96 maybe, and the papers were already brown. So I started to make copies of them. And as you know, we had them in English and we had to translate it in English and Spanish. So that's why these were given to you. Now, it's part of your review. And why do I want to do that? Well, because there are some things in the test where you have to count. And sometimes they have numbers. So your number recognition has to be practiced. A lot of you can look at the number and know the number what it is by name, but when it comes to writing it, we have to work on that. All right? And that's fine. That's part of what we're going to do. So while you're doing that homework, I also gave you this frame. Now, years ago, when I taught kindergarten, not too long ago, we had a math coach that was creating this website that was hers. And she used to provide us with a lot of scaffolding to help the children. And one of the things that I took with me after being there for a while was this frame. Now, you have 0 and it has nothing because when we work with dots, especially on frames, it has no quantity to show. That's why there's none over here. But as you go in numerical order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, you will notice that the amount of dots kind of starts growing. That's what we need you to practice, because the dots can be red, the dots can be blue, they can be any color. But what's really important is that you match the numerical, or what I call the cardinal number, with the object, which is the dots. Okay? We also have been practicing what is called subitizing. And for those who don't know what subitizing is, it is a method in which has been implemented into the math curriculums for many years. And back years ago when I started with these, there was a section which I will go to you about very soon, which had games. And one of the games was this one that I gave you for homework to practice during this week. It's called Facts of 5. And the directions tell you very easily how to play with it. But I also gave you a copy for your parents to create their own dot cards by making copies of this. This is not for the parent to do it now, because what I did is I did all the hard work. What I did is I made your Ziploc with cardstock that you all donated. So when you donated, you have 2 colors of those frames or 10 frames that we talk about. But what's really important about this game is that it's a consistency of practice. It's not just to play the game and get away with it and go on your iPad. This is something that you need to practice almost every day so that your mind and your eyes and the way you're saying it makes sense up here. Okay? This is where your mind is, and it operates according to what it sees, what it touches, what you say, okay? And that's really important. So last week, we told you that I gave you these dominoes, right? You remember that? Well, I gave you the number cards. And I told you that the number cards were to be used for using dominoes. And we did. That was the video before. But this week's video, which is about practicing to get ready for the test, is about going over some of those frames that we need to practice on 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And that's the intention of this video. It's the intention of looking and paying close attention to what we're doing. So from here on, you may hear me say it in English. You may hear me saying it in Spanish, because this is a dual language kindergarten, and they need to be exposed to the topic in this subject in both languages. Some students will take the test in Spanish, and others will take them in English. So you're not being deprived of learning another language. You are being exposed and submerged into both languages to help you learn. So make sure you have your cards, that you have the 6 that has the line under it, that you have a 7, that you have an 8, and that you have a 9. And the 9 has the line like this. Okay? So once you have those numbers, take the little Ziploc that you had with your time frames and practice with me. Now, I did this in class. For those who were not in my class, I did this in class. This is not something I'm doing it now. We did this in class. We played with it. We gave an opportunity for every single student to practice and make a pair of 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, and everybody did it very well. What we need to do is practice even more. Because practice makes it what? Perfect. So I'm going to start by using number 6, and I'm going to lower my camera so that you can see what I am doing. In this situation, because of the lack of space, I'm not going to use 0 frames. I'm going to put them apart because I don't need them. Okay? I don't need them. You may need them because you might have the space. So, as you see, we have, in my case, yellow and green, and we have these dot cards. And these dot cards are very important. When I'm making a 6 as my sum, and I'm trying to create a pair, this pair needs to work with me in a way that I can actually see and move. So I'm going to put these right here for your benefit. You may not be able to see some of these because of the lack of space that I have, but do know that we are doing the best intention for you to learn and practice at home. Now, those of you who are my students, you know we didn't do it this way, which is called vertical. We did it horizontal because we had a big table, right? I'm going to put these to the side because I'm only going to work with 6. I'm only going to work with 6. All right, so 6 is the sum. And I'm looking for the pairs of 6. So, where do I start? Well, start with always the 1 dot. So if I have a 1 and I have a 5, 1 and 5, or 5 and 1, makes 6. Yes or no? And I know that because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the total of these two frames together. That's what 6 is. 6 has the pair of 5 and 1. All right? Now, I'm going to change it and go to the next one. The next one is 2 and 4, or 4 and 2. These are the pairs of 6 because I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the sum of these two frames together. So that being said, 4 and 2, or 2 and 4, are pairs of 6. Just like 1 and 5, or 5 and 1, are pairs of 6. Exactly. All right? Now, I'm going to take these back, and I'm going to bring forward our 3 and our other 3. Now, when I look at 3 and 3 makes 6, I know this because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the total of these two frames together for number 6. All right? So, when you are doing this, you have to be conscious of what you are doing. You are matching to make 6. A lot of the students can do this. But now that I'm going to switch it to the next number, which is 7, this is where it gets complicated. Right? 7. 7. All right? 7 is now the sum, and I'm looking for the pairs of 7. The pairs of 7 will always begin with a 1 dot if you're looking to see which one it is. 1 and 6 makes 7. I know this because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is the total of these two frames. When I am subitizing, I just look at it, take a quick look at it, and know how many dots are there. I know this is 5 because this one down will be 6. I know this is 1 because there's nothing else in there. So 6 and 1 makes 7, or 1 and 6 makes 7. All right. Now, let's go to the next one. Now we have 5 because I already know that the frame has 5 in a row. So it's 5 and 2. 5 and 2 make 7. 2 and 5 make 7. I know this because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do you understand? That is what we want you to do. If you subitize, this goes quicker. But if you don't subitize, which is what some of you will not do, you're going to have to touch the dots to make sure that you have 7. All right? Now I'm going to go with the next pair. And the next pair is 3 and 4, or 4 and 3. 4 and 3 makes 7. 3 and 4 makes 7. I know this because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? And when I do this, when I subitize, I know there's 1 less than 5, so that's 4, and 2 less than 5, that's 3. I know that. So this is 3 and 4 is 7, or 4 and 3 is 7. Now that I did the pairs, this is what it should be looking like, right? I can put this here, put this over here, and definitely put these two here, right? so that you can see it. And now we do have all the pairs of 7. This is very important because on the test, you will have a 10 frame. It could be any of these. And it's not going to have any dots. It's going to be like this. It's going to be empty. And you need to have a number. You might get, let's say, 8. If you get 8, you need to make at least 3 different pairs of 8. Okay? All right, so let's do 8. I'm going to bring in the 10 frames of 7 because now I'm doing 8. All right? And I start again. Here goes 7. Here goes 1. 7 and 1 makes 8. 7 and 1 makes 8. Or 1 and 7 makes 8. Or 1 and 7 makes 8. I know this because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are the dots together. Now I'm going to put these back. Now I'm going to move forward with these 2 frames. In this 10 frame, this is 6, and I know this because there's 5 plus 1 here is 6. 7, 8, right? So this is a pair of 8. You can say 2 and 6 is 8. You can say 6 and 2 is 8. But what's really important is that you do the right counting. If you know how to subitize, you can do it. But if you don't, you need to practice and practice and practice. Now we're going to make another pair of 8. In this case, the pair of 8 looks like this. Okay? And the pair of 8 is 5 and 3. And I know this because 5 are in a row. This is half of the 5, so that's 3 already. So I can say 3 and 5 makes 8, or 5 and 3 make 8. I know this because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right? So you're counting. You are practicing. You are doing better. Now, let's take these 2 frames. They are the same. Okay? Each one has 4. There's 1 dot missing down here. So that's 4 and 4 makes 8. What? 4 and 4 makes 8. But 3 and 5 makes 8. And if I move this over, 2 and 6 makes 8. 1 and 7 makes 8. So these are the pairs of 8. And if I go further, you can add the 0 by adding the 8 frame. But we're not going to do that because of time. So this is a game that I want you to prepare, that I want you to practice, because practice makes it what? Perfect. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to practice. I want you to do very well. And then practice your numbers. It's very important that you practice your numbers because practicing writing your numbers is a skill that needs to be learned. All right? So you're going to be doing these frames at home. You can play with your parents. You can play with your brother and sister. You can have those accountable talks. And for those who are parents and saying, what are accountable talks? Accountable talks are those talks that we have that have to do with what we're learning, right? And learning makes it much, much easier when we talk. The method in which we have been teaching in iReady is that we start by trying. Second, we discuss. And what we do is we discuss the strategies, the way that we count, the way that we do things, and we work in partners. And then finally, we apply, or what we call connect, because we are trying to get them to learn math by explaining what they are doing and what they are thinking. It's not easy, but language is very important, and you as parents should have them playing on your tablet, but sometimes having conversations are very important. If I didn't get to do this in Spanish, I am sorry, because that was the purpose of it. But what we'll do is we'll do another video for those who Spanish speakers, because smart is not something you are. Smart is something you get, and you get better each day. We didn't go to 9, but you're going to do that as well, and you will be doing much, 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 much better on what we're learning. All right? As I said, practice makes it what? Perfect. And 2, smart is not something you are. Smart is something you get.